In my eyes, obsidian is perfect. It is found in the best places, it is used to make the best items, and best of all, it is infinitely available to all who wish to partake in its beauty, as long as they're willing to demonstrate a dash of discernment in how they choose to bring their water and magma into contact with one another. Due to obsidian's perfection, last month I was inspired to embark to a random field, dig down until I hit the Great Magma Sea, and then build a thriving metropolis with only obsidian on hand to help me. The fortress was named Fire Sea, and it existed half inside a volcanic gem wall, partly submerged in the magma sea, and otherwise built into a rocky outcropping. Everything we built with obsidian, unless presented with no other option. Our militia was outfitted with obsidian swords that were as sharp as dull knives, and our halls were decorated with tables, chairs, and statues that were as colorful as the night sky. All in all, it was an obsidian city that did an admirable job at living up to the perfection implied by its title. Unfortunately, our obsidian worship attracted negative attention from non-believers. Some of the threats we faced due to my own errors in judgment, such as with the flaming spirit demon I released from a pocket in the gem wall that I thought my soldiers should be able to handle. When they didn't, and the demon was free to travel from room to room on the eastern side of the top level of my fortress, due to ant tunnels in the ceiling above, I was forced to shut down access to the original barracks and only hospital in the fortress. Other threats were my own fault in a more distant way, like with the vampire that I had infected on an adventure months ago that feasted on victims in my fortress for years until it was caught by the omnipresent CCTV that is OBS. And with the weremammoths I had once cursed in droves who popped up every couple months to bite a new dwarf or two, leading to a constant drip of expulsions. And there were even some threats that weren't really my fault at all, such as the goblin sieges, elf ambushes, and dragon that paid my fortress a visit, only to, slowly but surely, get cut down by the obsidian sabers of my soldiers. With all of these enemies, there were some indications that our obsidian swords were lacking. Multiple dwarves struggling to kill and then dying to mediocre goblins, the whole flaming spirit situation, etc. But even with that in mind, I saw our queen descending upon our fortress whenever I gazed deeply enough into the depths of the obsidian. We were a metropolis, housing a duchess, with 9 hillocks nearby paying tribute to us. Plus, with all the treasures of the gods we had found while digging around in the gem wall, and the noble rooms I had built in amongst the gems on the bottom floor of the fortress, it seemed like it was only a matter of time before we became a mountain home. But then a new enemy came to visit, the bronze colossus Scraped Axe the Messianic Cudgel. A 600-year-old, 40-foot-tall megabeast made of pure bronze should probably have struck fear into my heart, but I'd never struggled to kill a colossus in any previous fortress, and I didn't see why this time would be any different. I began to see the error of my ways when the collective might of all my militias did nothing but waylay and enrage the colossus on the staircase leading into the fortress. If I had my wits more fully about me, I could have prevented what followed by locking the one door that stood between the fortress and the outside world, but I was surprised by the defeat on the staircase and had no active plan B to jump to. For 40 days, the Messianic Cudgel rampaged through the fortress, seemingly unaffected by the dozens of dwarves that surrounded it, trying to chip away at its bronze body enough for it to finally falter. Unfortunately for my dwarves, their efforts were in vain, and by the time Scraped Axe finally left the fortress, bloodlust sated, the only dwarf left undead was the vampire-led Paper Safety, who I had locked in an office years prior in order to confirm her vampirism. Because the bronze colossus left with a dwarf still remaining in the fortress, I was able to retire the fortress to the rhythm of day-to-day living, instead of leaving it as a fully smoldering ruin. It seems to me that, despite the setbacks, it's only a matter of time before my obsidian city becomes the mountain home it was meant to be, even without me there to guide it. After all, in my eyes, obsidian is perfect. thanks for watching, an extra thank you to those of you who support me on Patreon, and I'll see you next time.